If you're looking for a wide angle prime lens for your Sony full frame camera, it's definitely worth checking out this Tokina 20mm f2 lens. Let's check it out. Hey yo guys, Marlon King here. I make videos about consumer technology and camera gear, so if that's your bag, hit that subs button. Now, I want to thank Tokina UK and Ireland for lending me this lens to try it out, and I'm going to be, should I say, the purpose of this video is to show you some video and photos of it. Now, I've already made a short video using this lens, so I'm going to dive in and show you some photos. But firstly, who's this lens for? What is it? Well, it is a 20mm f2 lens. It is designed for full frame Sony users, E-mount. However, I have been using it on my Sony A6500, so it does work well with that as well. I don't have a full frame camera, so unfortunately I couldn't test it on that. However, you know, if it looks good on this, it's going to look even better on a full frame, so bear that in mind. This comes with a lens hood, and it also comes with a 4-year warranty, which is really nice. And it's at a really nice price point. It's £850, which is actually cheaper and wider than the closely rivaled Zeiss 21mm lens. So if you're looking at a wide angle prime, definitely consider this one. Other things to know with this lens, it's got a 62mm filter thread on the front. It's got a nice smooth manual focus ring. It doesn't have image stabilization in there, but you can use the one built into your camera. Obviously metal that side, as you would expect at this price point. And it's also pretty light as well. It's 464 grams. It is autofocus. However, what I will say is, if you're using it for video work, I mean, this is designed mainly at photography, but if you are using it for video work, it's quiet, but it's not silent. Anyway, let's jump in and have a look at these photos. So I thought the best place to take advantage of this lens would be going to a nice park nearby where I knew there was going to be some great leaf colours there. So let's look at the first photo, and it's just worth noting these first few photos I had IBIS turned off on the camera. This particular one was taken at f7.1. It would actually be slightly wider if it was on full frame, but enough said about that. If we have a look zoomed in, you can see there's a fair amount of detail there. Everything looks nice and sharp. You can see even the people in the distance have a nice amount of detail on them. We can see little details in the grass. The foreground's obviously blurred out there. Overall, not too bad. Let's move on. So, really love this shot. Now, as I come to this shot, I took it and I didn't quite get focus on the leaves here. As you can see, they're not quite in focus, but nonetheless, just the colours were awesome. And just to give you an idea, I took a second shot of this where I actually focused on the tree over here, and if we have a look, we can see there's a lot more detail now in this one. So if we zoom in here, you can see that's all blurred. This one here, I didn't quite get the sun coming through as well, but look at that detail on the leaf there. It's rather impressive. And even on the floor, we can see there's a lot of detail in each blade of grass. All of the leaves just coming through lovely. This one I decided to go close up, and I was fairly close to this leaf here. As we can see, there's some lovely bokeh there where pretty much everything else is blurred out. And if we zoom in, it's a nice amount of detail on the leaf here. All of these photos are unedited, they're straight from the camera, and I was using some standard settings. I did have the camera on vivid mode, which is why the colours look nice. Generally really impressed with that. Here's another shot where I got close to the floor to get some of the leaves in amongst the grass. So we can see here this was taken at f2, so everything else in the background is completely blurred out. If we zoom in, we can see the grass is perfectly in focus there, and there's still actually a nice amount of detail on that leaf. Because the sun was quite low in the sky, you'll notice on a lot of these photos that it's quite harsh highlights, but also I quite like that look as well, so I'm not going to complain. Moving on, so this one was taken at f13. I was trying to get all of the detail of the leaves above and below, and from here it looks really nice, but let's zoom in and see what we've got. Firstly, we can see that bench is nice and sharp. We come along here, if we go along to the edge and follow it along, you can see there's a nice amount of detail on the tree bark there. It's just a little soft, but not too bad. And we go up, we can still see detail in all of the leaves all along the top here. Go to the other corner. There's almost no loss of detail. And we go down to the bottom as well and have a look, and we can see pretty much all of these leaves are, I wouldn't say they're really sharp, but there's a nice amount of detail, and that could be just down to my focusing point on this shot. Overall, really pleased pretty much across the whole photo. There is a decent level of sharpness there. And here's another one. I'm capturing the sun coming through the trees here, so we can see there's a little bit of lens flare here. I didn't have the lens hood on, which is why that's probably happening, but I quite like that personally. Let's zoom in and have a look. So we can see in this grass still loads of detail coming in, and because we've got that sun coming through, we can see it's just giving a slight bleached look to the shot, which I also quite like. But still nice levels of detail there. We can see it's just a little bit more soft up here now, and that is due to this lens flare coming in. Overall, I'm happy with these shots. Let's move on. So again, this is a different sort of shot here. This time, rather than focusing down here, I'm focusing over here, and this was taken at f10. Again, this is all handheld, so if we focus down here first, we can see the grass is slightly softer. The reason being, I just wanted to capture what was going on in that distance. But as we follow this path along, we can see there's a decent amount of detail in the path, and we can see all the footprints there nice and clear. If we move up, there's a decent level of detail in the grass, and let's have a look at this tree. All of the leaves in the tree look nice and sharp. And then as we move along into the distance, we can very clearly see everything going on in the distance, and it's still sharp. There's no blur there, so I'm pretty happy with this, you know. Pretty sharp lens. Here is what can only be described as a camera selfie, and I quite like the colours on it actually, but I couldn't get any further away, so let's have a look. Decent amount of detail in the eyes, as we'd hope. Hat's all nice in focus. Nice level of detail in the beard. And yeah, so it's starting to lose a little bit on the coat there, but again, that's just down to where I focused. As we can see, lovely bokeh in the background, so that was taken at f2. Let's move on, and here is a shot of some leaves. Let's zoom in and see the detail they've got. Look at that, I mean that's pretty incredible. And a lovely colour, I may add. So pretty joyful taking photos on that day, I must say. Yeah, let's move on. So this is the second day of shooting, slightly different location. It was a bit more overcast on this day, and I did have IBIS turned back on for this occasion. Let's have a look here. So, nice piece of mud on the leaves. This is at f4, deliberately having the background blurred. Let's move on. So trying to capture a nice cottage with the steam or smoke coming out of the side, and trying to frame it with the trees here. So deliberately wanted the trees and branches to be out of focus. This was taken at 6.3. Let's have a look at the detail in the house. See, there's nice detail there in the tiles, the bell and everything there. That's all crystal clear. The trees are starting to blur off in the background, but kind of wanted that. I wanted the focus to be of this house and not anything too far behind it or in front of it. Now if I had a tripod, I could have probably done a slower exposure and got that steam, making it a little bit more mysterious. That would have been cool. Nice level of detail in the road and the fence. Overall, again, I'm happy with that. Another leaf shot. Just look at that creamy bokeh, it's lovely. I was obviously up close to this leaf here. It's not quite as sharp as some of the other shots we've seen. It was quite blowy, so these leaves were constantly moving around, even though I was trying to hold a branch down to take this photo. So all things considered, you know, it's reasonable there. I took this shot because I wanted to see how sharp the spines on this tree would look. Let's zoom in and have a look. And look at that amazing detail there. This was at f5. Very happy with that. This is all taken on a crop sensor camera, so yeah, very impressed. So another shot. This was at f2. Don't think I quite got as sharp a focus on that. Still reasonable, but just didn't quite lock in 100% there. So the next 3 shots are all of the same thing, and just to kind of show you the level of detail at f2. So this one here, I'm focusing down on this leaf, and we can see everything else is blurred, and not on the leaf, on this layer of grass, I guess. And we can see there's clearly just this line of focus on these few blades coming through. Pretty much everything else is out. Moving on to the next one, I focused on the house. We can see now that's completely gone. So we move up to the house. Still at f2 here. Starting to get detail in the house. So it's quite distant away. It's not super sharp, but it's reasonable. And then the final shot I did, f13, so we can now see pretty much everything is in focus. I was still focusing in on the house, so the grass down here isn't quite as pin sharp as if I was focusing on it. But now when we look at that house, nice detail in the tiles and the windows. Trees aren't 100%, but because of the wind on that day, I didn't expect them to be 100% there, but detail in this house was nice. Right, and then finally another camera selfie. Let's have a look at the eyes, nice and sharp. And again, because I'm taking this shot of myself, I couldn't actually see what I was focusing in on, so a little bit hit and miss, but the autofocus is locked in, and yeah, nice level of detail again on the beard, and even on the coat we can see still nice detail. This is at f2. And moving on to the next shot, I quite like this. I was having to throw myself around in the leaves to get this, so it was a bit hit and miss, but this particular one, the leaves weren't covering my face, but I've got a bit of foreground and background there. And if we zoom in again, nice sharp eyes there, in particular this one. And yeah, beard's all in focus. A little bit soft where we had things moving in front of the camera lens, but this was taken at f2. And yeah, lovely. And then just for good measure, this one is an edited version of that. Just wanted to bring out the colours. But yeah. So what did you think of this lens? Let me know in the comments below. Love to hear what you think. And on that note, I think I'm going to wrap it up. So hope you found this video helpful. Take it easy, have a great week, and I'll see you soon. Peace.